It was a dark and stormy night. Not really. I just wanted to start a story saying that. I'm Joe Friday, no relation to Jack Webb on the old series Dragnet, although I am a detective. I arrived home one evening and my wife Megan told me we received an invitation to my college reunion. They were going to make it a Halloween theme with everyone in costume. I wasn't exactly happy to hear this. Megan had met very few of my college friends. It wasn't a part of my life I wanted to share with her. We met shortly after I graduated from college and entered the police academy. She worked at the local grocery store as a cashier, and I was struck with her being quite naive and seeming so innocent. She was so different from the college girls I'd been with. I began going to her checkout line every time I entered the store. She was so cute and I loved to tease her. I would make up stories about finding dead bodies and she would believe everything I told her. Then I would tell her the truth and she would laugh and hit me. I asked her out on a date and she agreed to go out with me. She told me she would feel safe with a cop. After a year of dating, I asked her to marry me. Before she said yes, she asked me if I was joking, because it wasn't funny if I was. No joke, Megan. I love you and want to spend the rest of my life waking up next to you, I assured her. She said yes, and we've been happily married ever since. We now have 2 kids, Amy, who is 4, and Joe Jr., who is 2. We call him Joey. I need to explain a bit about my high school and college days. In school, I was an athlete and a very good one. There was no sport I couldn't play. I ended up getting a scholarship to play rugby at an Ivy League school. I could never have afforded to go there without the scholarship. I was quite promiscuous in my younger days. My rugby mates were almost as bad as I was. One in particular, Dean, was even worse. Most of my teammates came from money. They all had nice cars and wads of money that they often used to buy their way out of trouble. I was considered the quiet one. Since I was one of the best players on the team, I was befriended by the wealthy players. Not having money was not a problem because Dean always offered to pay for me. He told me my shyness brought on the girls. There are 2 forms of rugby. A maximum of 15 players can play rugby union at any one time, whereas rugby league permits 13 players. We were part of the rugby league and were a close-knit group of guys. As I mentioned, most were like me, wild and irresponsible. We had a lot of followers, women who followed us almost anywhere. The funny thing is, these were really good-looking women who just wanted to have fun while in college. When we had our parties, dozens of women would come. I was with many of these women during my college years. Some of my rugby buddies ended up marrying some of our wild followers, knowing their wild pasts. I'd been in group situations with these people. It was a pretty powerful feeling to be intimate with a woman in front of her partner. Dean, our captain and self-named leader, married Anna, who was a beautiful woman. She did modeling on the side while in college, and she liked showing off her body. I had been with her several times, sometimes just us, and other times with Dean joining. By the time I graduated, I had grown out of that lifestyle. Most of my rugby teammates graduated and went into different professions. Many went into their family businesses. As for me, I went on to the police academy and did my best to leave my reckless past behind me. Now and then I would come across one of my old friends. It was a bit difficult looking at some of their wives knowing I had been with them. I do believe many of them put their past behind them too. I know when I talked to a few of the wives, they told me they went to college to have a good time and to find a rich husband. I guess they reached their goal. A few times I ran into a couple while I was with Megan, and the guys kidded her about me being the shy guy whom the ladies loved. I don't think she really caught on, thinking they all joked like I did. I know a couple of the guys said they wished she would have joined our parties during our college days. I know Megan felt flattered. The last thing I would ever do is share Megan. She was the best thing that ever happened to me. Megan is a real cutie. She looks great and is friendly to everyone. She's just a shorty at 5 feet and somewhere over 110 pounds. She looks much younger than her 30 years. She's a natural blue-eyed blonde that always seems genuinely happy and she rarely argues. In addition, she's a great mother and just an all-around happy person. We have a great marriage and 2 great kids. We do things as a family all of the time. Being a cop, I know how bad it is out there and will do anything to protect my family. Megan's mother watches the kids while Megan works part-time. I wish I would have caught the invitation to the party. I would have ripped it up and thrown it away. These weren't the kind of friends I wanted my wife to be around. Hopefully, more of them changed. Since we didn't go out much as a couple, Megan was really excited to go to this reunion Halloween party. Dean and Anna set up the venue in an old funeral parlor. They hired a DJ to play music from our time and catered to the food. It was mostly finger foods, but there was every kind of finger food you could think of, all done in a Halloween theme. They had a bring-your-own booze stipulation since there wasn't a bar. Dean asked for a meeting with about 6 of the couples to explain and get more ideas for the party. He explained the venue and the costumes and all about the party itself. I couldn't make it to the meeting, but Megan went to it without me. I wasn't happy about that, but she said it was nice meeting some of my old friends. The party was a month away, and Megan was all excited. She began talking with Anna on the phone about costumes and other things. I wasn't happy about hanging with people from my wild days, but what could I do without telling her about my past? I just had to hope that Anna wouldn't say anything. After this party, we didn't have to see these people again. One day, Megan came home and said her car had broken down again. It hadn't been very dependable for the last few months. She said she was tired of constantly getting it repaired and wanted another vehicle. I explained to her that we didn't have the money for a decent down payment to put on another vehicle. She told me that Anna had a friend who owned a used car lot and had a used Nissan for sale. She had already looked at it and thought it would be perfect for her. Megan, we don't have the money for another car right now. We can get the old one fixed and maybe get one when I get my bonus at the end of the year, I explained. Joe, all I need is a $600 down along with my old car, and I can make payments of $200 a month for 3 years, Megan countered. That's not the point. We don't have $600 to spare right now. The holidays are coming up and money is tight. As I said, maybe after the first of the year when I get my bonus. I'm sorry, honey. We just don't have the down payment. If I can get the down payment, can I get the car? It's really the car I'm looking for, she pleaded. I could tell she was upset and wasn't going to stop talking about this car. She really wanted this vehicle, so I said, sure, if you can get the down payment, and you will have to make the payments out of your salary since mine is used for the rest of the bills. I honestly thought she would forget about the car for now. She was pretty level-headed when it came to expenses. She kissed me and thanked me a half-dozen times. A few days later, she had her new car, at least new to her. She was one happy woman. I had to wonder where she got the down payment. She told me she asked for an advance at work, and her boss gave it to her, and I had no reason not to believe her. I was beginning to get a little worried that Megan was being influenced by Anna. She said they talked on the phone about the party every few days. I didn't want Megan to get close to Dean or Anna. I really didn't trust them. One evening, Megan wanted to talk about our costumes for the party. I loved her dearly, and if she wanted something, I did my best to please her. She said that Anna loaned her a nurse outfit for the party and that it was a bit short and rather tight, but she thought she would wear it with a pair of white shorts. She tried it on for me, and I have to say she looked beautiful as hell. She bent over just a little, and I could see her tight little rear. I wanted to embrace her right there in the living room. She told me later after she put the kids to bed. Later, we were intimate, and it was wonderful. She looked so attractive that I didn't last very long. I think she was satisfied, but I wasn't sure. I told her that she better wear shorts under it or she better find another costume. She asked me what I was going to wear to the party, and I told her I wasn't sure. I actually thought of going in my police uniform. I haven't worn it much since I made detective. She didn't think much of the idea, but it would be an easy costume. I told her I was scheduled to work the day of the party and might be a bit late. The day before the party, I saw Anna at the market. I stopped by to pick up some booze for the party before I headed home, and she looked as beautiful as ever. She asked me if I liked Megan's car, and I said it was nice. She told me that she asked Dean to give her the $600 for the down payment, and he was happy to do so. I tried to not act surprised, but I knew I would have to ask Megan why she borrowed the money and then lied to me about where she got it. Anna asked me if we could get together again. She said she knew Dean wouldn't mind since he had his eye on Megan. They had become swingers even after they got married. "No, it's not going to happen," I replied firmly. "I will admit you were the best I was with during college, but I'm married to Megan now and I really love her and will be faithful to her." Anna reached over, squeezed my arm, smiled at me, and told me it was my loss and she would see me at the party. It bothered me that Megan got the money from Dean. It sounded like it was a gift, not a loan, and I knew that he didn't give women money without a benefit of some kind. It was the first time since we got married that I was worried whether my wife had been unfaithful. I decided I needed to talk to her when I got home, even if I had to tell her the truth about Dean and Anna. It was already getting dark when I got home. Megan left me a note saying the kids were at her mother's and she had gone to show her costume to Anna. I didn't figure it was true, seeing I had just talked with Anna and she never mentioned meeting Megan. I remembered that Anna had told me that Dean was at the funeral home to finish setting up for the party. I headed over to the funeral home and spotted Megan's car in the parking lot. My worst fears were coming true. Megan was alone with Dean. I wasn't sure if I should rush in or wait to see what was going on. I went through a rear entrance and around to the main room where the party was going to take place. Just before entering the room, I saw Megan in her nurse costume, but she couldn't see me. I waited, wanting to see what would happen between Megan and Dean. "Where's Anna?" "I was going to show her my costume," asked Megan. "She's not here. It's just me and you, darling. I asked Anna to call you," Dean replied with a snarly laugh. "I need a favor for the money I gave you." "Damn, you look beautiful in that outfit. Come here and let me have a feel." "No, you said if I gave you what you wanted, that was all you would ask of me," Megan protested. "I changed my mind. Besides, Joe was with Anna a number of times and you only have to give it up once. Now get your little tight rear over her or I'll tell Joe about our arrangement and even the extra things you did for $600. I couldn't believe what I heard. My sweet little wife did that for Dean, all for a car. I watched her as she went over to him. "Do you promise this will be the last time I will have to have any kind of physical interaction with you? If you tell Joe, I promise you I will kill you if he doesn't," Megan threatened. Dean laughed. "Sure, I promise, but I might sneak a touch tomorrow when Joe isn't looking. Now lean over the couch so we can finish this." I stood frozen. My sweet little wife was going to let Dean take advantage of her. Now I had to wonder if this was the only time she was unfaithful. I was literally dumbstruck. My mind raced. Do I run out there and beat the daylights out of Dean? What do I do about Megan? She isn't an innocent party either. I decided to let it play out and deal with it later. She bent over the couch, and Dean took advantage of her vulnerability. He began to impose himself on her, and she didn't resist. I could tell she wasn't entirely unwilling by the way she responded. "Promise me that this will be the last time. I love Joe, and he'd kill us both if he ever found out I was with you. I wish Anna and her friends would never have told me about Joe's past with her." "I should have asked him if it was true," Megan said. "Believe me, baby, he did more than just that. We took her together. I guess he never told you what kind of man he was. By the way, I'll decide whether or not we meet again," Dean said with a laugh as he finished. "I love being with you. Joe's one lucky man." She was half crying as she pulled up her panties. "Please, I'll give you the money back. I won't do this with you again. I don't know how I can face Joe after doing this." "I don't care about the money, honey," Dean said as he pulled her close and kissed her forcefully. He ran his hand down her side. "You're ready for this? You enjoyed it, didn't you?" She pushed him back as he laughed. I knew she enjoyed intimacy, but I didn't like seeing her with another man. She always responded rather easily. It was one of the things I liked about her. She was easy to please. I watched her leave out the front door, and I stepped into the room. He was pulling up his pants when he saw me. "You'll never touch her again, Dean. You crossed the line with her. She is not only my wife, but my life." He looked surprised to see me. "What the heck are you doing here? Look, you were with my wife a dozen times and I only got Megan once. What's the big deal?" "You gave me your wife by choice and weren't married at the time. I can't let you get away with it," I replied angrily. "She was willing and you know it. You should have given her the money for the car." He laughed at me again. "You'll never touch her again," I shouted at him. I grabbed a propsicle from one of his Halloween displays and jabbed it toward him, forcing him back. Then I struck him across the face, knocking him to the ground. He wasn't laughing anymore. I opened the casket he had set against the wall and placed his body inside. As I turned him onto his back, he pleaded, "No, please don't do this, I'm sorry." But I ended it swiftly, leaving him to bleed out in the casket. Now I had to cover my tracks. First, I wiped my fingerprints off the sickle and then placed it strategically as part of the scene. I closed the casket and put a note written in blood saying, "Do not open till midnight, or you will pay a similar fate." I looked around and the place was completely set up for the party. Anna was usually the one in charge, but would probably wonder where Dean was. I had to figure out something. While looking around, I found a video recorder that was still running. He had taken a video while with my wife, and he had another disc there dated a week before entitled Megan. I had to wonder if it was Megan giving him what he wanted for the money. I took the 2 tapes and slipped a blank disc back into the machine. I took his costume as well. It was a football jersey with pads and a helmet. The helmet was covered with a full head mask of a dog, and even a little speaker in it that changed the wearer's voice. I could use this to my advantage. I locked the doors and put the stuff in my car. I called Megan and told her I was on my way home. She said she had stopped to see her mom, and she and the kids were pulling in the driveway. She sounded calmer than I would have expected. When I arrived home a half hour later, she had the kids in bed and had gotten rid of the note that said she was with Anna. She was coming out of the shower when I walked in. "How was your day?" I asked her. "Pretty normal. After work, I did a little shopping and went to Mom's for a while. Nothing out of the ordinary," she replied casually. She had had her chance to tell me the truth. If she had told me without having to ask her, we might have been able to work things out. Now I knew I could never trust her again. "Megan, I have to work a little later tomorrow, so I will be coming to the party a little late unless you don't want to go without me," I informed her. "I promised your friends we'd be there." "How late are you going to be?" she asked. "Probably a couple of hours. Do you want me to pick you up here or meet you at the party?" She thought for a minute and said she would meet me at the party. I told her I was just going to wear my police uniform and a mask of Joe Friday from Dragnet. She had no idea who I was talking about. She said she was tired and would see me the next day and headed to bed. I honestly couldn't sleep with her that night. I decided to sleep in the den, which doubled as my office. I put the first video in, and it was of her thanking Dean for the money. He told her it was time to earn it and to get on her knees. She knew what he wanted. I put in the second tape, and it began shortly before I arrived. She asked about Anna, and he said she would be right there. So she did go to see Anna. He showed her around the party room and put his hand on her backside. "Please don't do that," she said. "I can't do this again. I'm happily married to Joe." He held her close once more, but she pulled away. "Where's Anna?" "I wanted to show her my costume," Megan asked. "She's not here. It's just the 2 of us, darling." "I was the one who had Anna call you," he said with a sly laugh. "I need a favor for the money I gave you. You look stunning in that outfit. Come here and let me hold you." This was where I came in. I fast-forwarded to where she left and erased everything that would incriminate me. For now, I stashed the tapes wondering if and when I could use them. I didn't work that late and was at the party when it started at 8. I had Dean's outfit on and was a little worried that people would know I wasn't him. Anna told me it was about time I got there and went around greeting her friends. Anna was dressed as a salacious woman, and she was showing it all. About half of the guests had masks on, and I wasn't sure who they were. Others just had small masks over their eyes or their faces painted. I saw Megan pull up and the valet open her door. She stepped out of the car showing a lot of legs. I was wondering if she wore the shorts. She remembered to bring our booze. She put a small white mask over her eyes. Only a few people would know who she was since she didn't attend our college. She looked over at me and went up to Anna, and they talked for a few minutes. Anna introduced her to a number of women and guys and went about her hostess duties. I walked up behind her and put my hand under her outfit and grabbed her backside. "Stop that! I told you no more. I love my husband," she protested. "Speaking of him, where is he?" I asked, hoping my real voice wouldn't come through. This would be the real test. "He's working, but will be here soon. Please don't get me into trouble. What I did was a huge mistake. I should have never done it. It wasn't worth the price I'm now paying. I'll tell you what. Dance with me and tell me about your past, and I'll keep our interaction a secret. Otherwise, the first person to talk to Joe when he gets here will be me." She hesitated, but went to the dance floor with me. I held her close and asked her about her past. She started to tell me about her schooling when I stopped her. "I'm interested in your romantic past. How many men have you been with?" "Please, Joe doesn't even know that. What difference does it make?" she asked nervously. "You're a good partner, and I want to know how many men have been with you. Now tell me." Okay. There were 2 boyfriends before I met Joe. I was young and wanted to try it. Neither of them did much of anything for me. I was probably with them a few times each. Then I met Joe. He was so different. It wasn't just physical. There was much more to it. He treated me with respect, and at the same time he made me feel special. There's nothing he wouldn't do for me and me him. Don't you understand? Being with you was a mistake. I got tied up in the moment and what I found out about Joe's past. I was mad and aggravated that he never told me. I'm so sorry. She broke away from me and went to the ladies' room. A woman came up to me and asked if I was Dean. She reached down and touched me and said I felt like Dean. I was sure it was Maureen who was married to Ted. I told her she would find out at midnight. The party was going really well and the drinks flowed. I stayed away from Anna as much as possible. Only she and Megan knew what Dean's costume was. Just before 10, I slipped out the back door and walked across the lot to my car. I changed into my police outfit and drove to the front door. The valet opened my door. He relaxed when I put on my Joe Friday mask. Anna met me at the door and gave me a hug. Megan must have told her I would be dressed like a cop. She grabbed my backside and said, "Still the best I ever felt." I saw Megan, and she must have seen Anna grab my rear. What was that all about? She acted like she was mad, but after everything she had done, her heart wasn't in it. There's a lot of things I never told you about my past. I've been with many of these women, including Anna. That's why I didn't want to come to this party, I explained. "Why didn't you tell me about your past before?" asked Megan. "It wasn't something that I was proud of, and you were very special to me. I didn't want you to think you were just one of many. Besides, you never told me about yours either. I know you weren't inexperienced the first time we were together when we were in our mid-20s. I didn't know whether to hate her or love her. We danced, and eventually, I took off the stupid mask. Most everyone knew who I was anyway. I introduced Megan to everyone I knew. She told me that Anna had introduced her to many of them. When I introduced her to a woman, she would look at me as if to ask if I had been with her. Most of the time, I nodded my head yes. A few times, I shook my head no. After the third time, Megan asked me why not. I laughed. I didn't know them from school. I met them after they married friends of mine. I would never be with a friend's wife. Megan, I was with a lot of women, but none after we started dating. I would never cheat on you. She said she had to go to the ladies' room. Maybe she was feeling a tinge of guilt. Anna came up to me and asked if I had seen Dean. She said he was dressed in a football outfit with a dog head. I laughed because it sounded so funny. I told her I didn't see him, but he was probably in the back room with someone. Anna seemed like she was looking around for Megan. I had to wonder if she was part of the setup for Dean to be with Megan. Megan came back to where I was standing, and Anna asked her if she had seen Dean. "Was he in the dog outfit?" asked Megan. "Maybe an hour ago, but I've been with John since he arrived." As Halloween parties go, it was great with lots of food and some great costumes ranging from the very gory to extremely attractive. The DJ played great tunes, and it seemed like everyone was having a good time. I wondered what would happen at midnight when the casket was opened. I noticed some old habits from some of the players coming back. Every now and then, a couple would head to one of the back rooms. I guess they still carried on. Anna had gone back there more than once. It was odd to me, but Megan stuck by my side. She only danced with me, but said she was having a wonderful time. She didn't talk much to Anna. I believe she felt she had made a huge mistake and was trying to correct it. She didn't even mention Dean. Everyone was asking Anna what the big surprise was and why the casket was to be opened at midnight. She said she didn't know. It must have been something that Dean added at the last minute. At midnight, those that hadn't already taken off their masks did so. There were no real surprises other than Dean wasn't there. Anna said that we might as well open the casket. She wasn't going to wait for Dean. Tim and Brad opened the casket together. Everyone who could see what was inside started screaming. Some thought it was a joke until they saw that it was a human body and all the blood seemed real. I told everyone to stand back, that I really was a cop. I dialed 911 and told them who I was. It wasn't 5 minutes before we saw 6 police cars out front. A fellow police officer, Jim, came up to me and asked what happened. I explained what little I knew after we opened the casket. Jim told me he wished I could help, but seeing that I was at the party when the body was found, I would have to be questioned along with everyone else. I told him I understood. For the next 2 hours, everyone was questioned and then let go. Jim told me that almost everyone had a similar story. They thought that Dean was in a football outfit but couldn't say for sure. He told me my wife Megan said she thought he was in the football jersey also. I told him I didn't remember seeing him. Megan was really nervous and asked me how I could deal with stuff like this day after day, especially since this was a friend of mine. I explained to her that it was my job and that after a while, you just got used to it. The body was sent to the coroner's office and an autopsy was done. The cause of death was the loss of blood from the cutting of the throat. The knife in his privates was an afterthought. According to the police, it was an act of revenge and rage. They didn't know how right they were. They searched Dean and Anna's home and found a number of tapes taken in the previous few years. Most of them were either Anna or Dean having relations with different people. The interactions seemed consensual, and sometimes it was group activity. They decided that they would have to contact the people on the tapes and question them. They started with those who were at the party. Anna told the police that she and Dean had an open marriage. She even admitted during the night of the party that she had been with 3 different guys. Those participants whose spouses didn't know about the extracurricular activities of their mates were looked at the closest, as well as Anna, since the spouse is always the first suspect. It was 2 weeks later that my friend Jim, who was heading up the investigation, came to me and said he needed to bring my wife in for another discussion. I asked him why, and he told me that Anna had said that Megan was given money, $600 to be exact, to be used as a down payment on a car. Anna also told him that he expected to get repayment in another form. She didn't know for sure if he succeeded. "Jim, Megan told me she borrowed the money from Dean at Anna's request. I was upset about it because I knew what kind of man Dean was. I told Anna to tell him we would be paying him back shortly. In fact, I took a check to the party to give back to him," I explained. I handed Jim the check and told him I didn't see Dean at the party to give him the check. I told him he could give it to Anna. He said he still had to follow up on Anna's accusation, and I told him I understood. As soon as I walked out of his office, I called Megan and told her I knew she borrowed the money from Dean and told her everything I told Jim. It was 20 minutes later that Jim and another detective, Aaron, showed up at Megan's work. Later, she told me she acted surprised to see them and didn't let on that I had called her. She told them that Anna suggested that she could borrow the money from Dean. She went to him and he flirted with her, but she told him she was happily married to me. She said when she told me she got the money from Dean that I was not happy about it. She told them that I was going to pay him back out of our small savings. In fact, I had the check to give him at the party. They asked her if he made passes at her, and she told them that he flirted quite openly with her, and she told him she wasn't about to cheat on her husband. He could keep his money, but in the end, he did loan it to her. I asked Megan if everything she told the police was true. I wanted to see if she would admit anything to me. She hesitated and apologized for lying about the loan. She said Dean said it was a gift, and maybe they could get together sometime. She said she told him no way would she cheat on me. She tried to change the subject and asked again why I never told her about my past partners. She was surprised when Anna told her how wild I had been in my younger days. It was my past. I didn't tell you because I really never wanted you to know. One thing you need to know is that I never lied to you about my past, and I never cheated on you. Can you say the same? I questioned. What is that supposed to mean? I love you more than anyone. You are my life. I would never cheat on you, Megan insisted as she got up and started dinner. I had a real problem with her lying to me. It was probably worse than the cheating. I didn't know if I could ever trust her again. For now, I had to let things stay as normal as possible. If we had a problem in our marriage, we would be looked at more closely for Dean's murder. We did have relations during the next month, but it was just that. Physical contact and not making love. It was more distant, and at times I didn't wait for her to finish. She never said a negative word to me. Jim told me the leads were going nowhere. There were a dozen spouses who had reason to get revenge on Dean, but there just wasn't any proof. I asked him about the time of death, and he said it was sometime during the night before. It could have been as early as 9 or as late as 3 in the morning. Everyone who was a suspect had alibis, and most were their spouses. With people like this, they always stick up for one another. They would continue to look into it, but would have to wait for a break. He said Anna was their #1 suspect, but didn't think she could have done it alone. They didn't believe she had the strength to lift the body and put it into the casket. Besides, she wasn't overly sad at his loss. She would be inheriting a lot of money, and their marriage was pretty much a farce with both of them constantly having other partners. Jim told me that Anna said she had been with me numerous times. I explained that I hadn't been with her for years. We were part of a highly active group in college. Clearly, there were no recent tapes of me and Anna. It had been years, even though she had approached me recently. I forgot to mention that I threw Dean's costume in the river the night after the party. The only thing to tie either Megan or me to the case were the tapes I hid. Life went on, but it wasn't the same for me. I actually spent more time playing with my kids. I even took them places without Megan when she had to work. I kept my mind off of her unfaithfulness by concentrating on the cases I was working on. I delved into my work and even told Megan about the unfaithful wives that I found harmed. I told her how one husband cut his wife's throat. I never used to tell her these gross stories, but I wanted her to know what happened to people that cheat on their spouses. Every time I told her one of these stories, I could see the hurt in her eyes. It was 6 months since Dean's death, and things seemed somewhat back to normal. Megan told me she got a call from Anna, and that she told Anna that she wanted nothing to do with her. She was happily married, and she tried to involve her in her husband's death. I kept a pretty good eye on Megan's whereabouts when she visited with family members, and pretty much only went out with me and the kids. She lost some of that innocent happiness that I had always remembered. Then I decided to try something different. I sent the tape of Megan with Dean to me at our house. I typed, "For Joe's eyes only" on the outside. Megan always brought in the mail. When I got home that evening, Megan seemed a bit out of sorts. "What's the matter, Megan?" I asked. "Just a bad day at work and the kids were on my nerves. I didn't even make dinner yet," she replied tensely. "That's okay. I'll order out a pizza and take the kids with me to pick it up," I offered. We got the pizza, and I looked through the mail that Megan set out for me. There was no envelope addressed to me only. I read through the mail and watched a little TV while Megan and the kids went to bed. I looked everywhere for the envelope and tape. Eventually, I looked outside in our burning bin. There, I found the charred remains of the disc and envelope. No one could know what it was. Megan was still awake when I got into bed, and she turned to face me. "Joe, I love you with all my heart and soul. I know things have been different since the death of your friend, but I want things to be like they were before. I know you told me you were with a lot of other women, but I'll get over it. Right now, I need you," she pleaded. I couldn't help myself. I still loved this woman. We were intimate that night, but afterward, I felt an emptiness I couldn't shake. While I still had feelings for her, the trust was broken beyond repair. 3 years passed, and eventually, they filed the murder as a cold case. They're no further ahead now than they were a week after the murder. We're not in contact with any of my old college friends. Anna joined some kind of swing club and is wealthy enough that she won't have to work again, but she is still the police's prime suspect. A day didn't go by that Megan didn't tell me that she loved me. After what had happened, I struggled to believe her. The foundation of our relationship had been damaged beyond repair. Finally, one evening after the kids were in bed, I sat Megan down for the conversation I knew we needed to have. "Megan, we need to talk," I began, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. "What is it, Joe?" she asked, her eyes filling with concern. "I've tried for 3 years to move past what happened with Dean," I said. "Every day I wake up hoping that today will be the day I can truly forgive you, but it hasn't happened." "Joe, please," she started, tears forming in her eyes. "I've done everything I can to make it up to you." "I know you have," I acknowledged. "And I believe that you love me. But I can't trust you anymore. Every time you're late coming home, every time you get a call and step out of the room, I wonder if you're hiding something from me again." "But I haven't done anything since then," she protested. "It was one terrible mistake." "2 times, I corrected her. "And then you lied about it repeatedly. I might have been able to forgive one indiscretion if you'd been honest with me afterward, but you weren't." Tears streamed down her face. "What are you saying, Joe?" "I'm saying that I want a divorce," I said quietly. "I've already spoken with a lawyer. We'll share custody of the kids, of course. I'll never keep them from you." "Please don't do this," she begged. "We can go to counseling. I'll do anything." "I've made up my mind," I told her firmly. "I think deep down, you knew this was coming. We've been going through the motions for years now." She sobbed uncontrollably, and despite everything, I felt my heart breaking for her. But I knew I couldn't live the rest of my life with this wall between us. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. We sold the house and each bought smaller places within the same school district so the kids wouldn't have to change schools. We arranged joint custody, with the kids spending alternate weeks with each of us. It was difficult at first, especially for the children, but eventually we settled into a routine. Megan never remarried, and though we maintained a civil relationship for the sake of our children, there was always sadness in her eyes when she looked at me. I knew she still loved me, and part of me would always love her, but some broken things can't be fixed. The murder of Dean remains unsolved to this day. Sometimes I wonder if I should have told Megan the truth about what I did, but I knew that would only make things worse. She never asked me directly if I killed him. I think on some level she suspected but didn't want to know for certain. It's odd that she never asked me if I killed Dean. I honestly don't know if I would have told her the truth. Some secrets are better left buried, just like Dean's memory. As for me, I found peace in my decision. The burden of mistrust had been lifted, and I could focus on being the best father I could be. Our children grew up knowing they were loved by both parents, even if we couldn't make our marriage work. Sometimes I see Megan at school events or when dropping off the kids, and I catch a glimpse of that sweet, innocent cashier I fell in love with all those years ago. In those moments, I feel a pang of regret for what might have been. But then I remember the betrayal, and I know I made the right choice. Some mistakes can't be undone, and some wounds never fully heal. All we can do is learn to live with the scars and move forward the best we can. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check the responses. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.